Jim, we're going to close the show today with a little current talk. I know we haven't talked about this on air or off air, but the entire wrestling world's been talking for about a week now about the angle that closed last week's Dynamite, where we saw the Elite, which is now, I suppose, Jack Perry, Okada, and the Young Bucks, attack Tony Khan. First, it's Jack Perry with a microphone shot to the stomach, and then a Tony Khan driver, the former Meltzer driver, on Tony Khan. And then Tony Khan shows up at the NFL draft the very next night wearing a neck brace. I thought it was tremendous. I loved it.
Me too.
And let's just process this. No matter what you think of AEW or Tony Khan, my man found a way to get 12.1 million people to see and hear this story. Is it going to result in a shot in the arm for business? Who knows? But he at least took advantage of his opportunities. A guy I really respect in wrestling always talks about maximizing your minutes. I think old Tony Khan did that last week. What say you?
I was very curious after watching it. I was shocked because I had no idea what they were going to do. And Tony taking bumps and the pile driver scenario and the gut shot and all that. My question that I had that night was, I wonder how Tony's going to sell this injury. Is he going to wear a neck brace? And here we are in draft week. And how's that going to play into that deal? Well, it didn't. He just did it. He sold it. And he did exactly what an old school or an old timer would do. You sell the injury. You just don't throw it away and forget about it. So I was whether I liked the physicality or not, it all depends really on how it's going to be followed up on how well we're going to like it. But the fact that Tony followed through and completed the cycle of wearing that neck brace, there's guys like, we had a little shot there a minute ago, Bull, of those cats on the NFL Network. You know, they hate to talk about wrestling because it might indicate that they are wrestling fans, and God knows they cannot have that for their powerful jobs on the NFL Network and trying to ad-lib their way through this scenario, all the while winking at us that, hey, look, we know it's not real. We know it's staged, whatever. It's a pain in the ass. So those guys should have done more prep, quite frankly. But of course, their egos wouldn't allow that. And it's just embarrassing that they would go on TV with a lack of knowledge and information on who they're talking to. And, we know that that it's showbiz. We got it. We got that, fellas. So get over yourself. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was unique. Would I have done it? I don't know. If put in a situation, I ain't going to take no pile driver. Ain't no way. Turn me upside down and my sack will be in my face. Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it.
Oh my gosh.
So anyhow, I was waiting to see if Tony was going to follow through and complete the cycle by wearing a neck brace. And he did. And I was proud of him for doing that because it was old school like. Now, whether you like the angle or you didn't like the angle, that's another issue. But him following through and wearing the neck brace, which is very visible, it posed questions that needed answers. So good for Tony Khan on that deal. It was old school like thinking, and I'm really glad that he wore the neck brace.
I am too. It was super fun. I was hoping when I knew that the draft was the next day that he would wear one, and he did. Couldn't be happier with that result of the exposure that he got for AEW. And I know that there are critics who say, oh, this wasn't good and that wasn't good. Well, by God, we can't have it both ways. Either you've been saying you want more stories in AEW, or when you get one, you'll let it play out. Yep. I, for one, am looking forward to seeing where this goes. Of course, we know as folks are listening to this, Kenny Omega is back on AEW television. He returned in Winnipeg, and I'm ready for next week, man. I know that you and I are going to be having some fun here, and I know that we're going to be talking about the latest moving and shaking and wrestling. In the meantime, I want to encourage you one last time to check out grillingjr.com. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. This month of May 2024, JR and I are going to be going live. You're going to be able to interact and ask questions with Jim live at grillingjr.com. You don't want to miss his current thoughts. You won't have to wait and just hear from him once a week or 8 days after Dynamite. It can be much more timely. We're going to be much more active at grillingjr.com, and it costs absolutely nothing. So go hit the subscribe button and turn on that notifications bell so you know when we're going live.
And we're over 100,000 subscribers now, Connie.
Yes, sir.
And I'm very proud of that. People really turned out. They showed out. They turned up. All that good cliche shit. But I really like what we're doing on YouTube, and it adds a different dimension to our presentation. I can't believe I didn't know until you told me earlier today that this is our 5-year anniversary.
How about that?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And like you said, a lot of podcasts don't last 5 years.
No, most.
We have a very loyal audience, and I'd like to think, that sound like an egomaniac, that Conrad and I do a pretty good job of stating our case, entertaining you, giving you feedback and information. So it's really cool. And as far as the jrsbarbecue.com, great for gifts, great just to get to keep in your shelf, your pantry, whatever it may be. A lot of ways to use it. And if you got unique ways you use our product, well, tweet it out. Let us know, because we're always looking for ideas. And that's one way to get your idea in front of us.
Yeah, man. I love the interaction that we get over on YouTube. Be sure to check out that community tab, grillingjr.com. And of course, you get all these shows early and ad free if you'll join us over at adfreeshows.com. That's where you can enjoy all of the archives of Grilling JR, totally commercial free. Plus, JR does a piece of bonus content every month. Maybe it's watching an old piece of WCW footage or an old piece of Mid-South, or doing a live Q&A. And there's over 4 years worth of bonus episodes available for you now at adfreeshows.com. Want to give a special shout out to some of our live studio audience who joined us today too. I know Eric Green and Coach Rosie, Airborne 37th, Phil, Denovius Mack was in the house. Heather Whitley was here, one of the rare ladies that we've got over at adfreeshows.com. Appreciate you keeping us in check. Appreciate Doug Ritter and Isaac Riston. So many cool folks hanging out with us today, including Andrew and others. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us and being a live part of what we're doing. And we hope you'll check us out at adfreeshows.com.